My wife called me while I was at work. Her voice sounded different, cold, confident. She said, "I just inherited $15 million from my aunt's properties. Pack your things and leave the apartment. It's mine now." I thought she was joking, but when I got home, the locks had already been changed. And sitting on the kitchen table were divorce papers with my name on them. She looked at me like I was nothing, like the man who had supported her for years suddenly didn't exist anymore. I read the papers slowly, then I signed them. She smiled like she had already won, but what she didn't know was, in exactly 24 hours, everything she thought she owned was going to disappear. And the truth about that 15 million inheritance was something she never expected.
It was a normal Tuesday afternoon. I was at my office finishing a project when my phone rang. It was my wife, Emily. We had been married for 6 years. Things weren't perfect, but I never thought our relationship was in danger. When I answered, she didn't even say hello. She just said, "I inherited $15 million from my aunt's properties." For a moment, I thought she was excited and wanted to celebrate, but then her next words hit me like a truck. "Pack your things and leave the apartment. It's mine now." I laughed. I honestly thought she was joking, but she didn't laugh back. Instead, she said something that made my stomach drop. "I've already talked to a lawyer. When you get home, the divorce papers will be waiting." Then she hung up. Just like that. 6 years of marriage ended in a 20-second phone call.
When I got home that evening, something felt wrong immediately. The locks had been changed. I knocked on the door. Emily opened it slowly, looking more confident than I had ever seen her. Behind her, I could see my suitcase sitting by the door. She had already packed my things. On the kitchen table were divorce papers. She pointed at them and said coldly, "Sign them." No emotion, no explanation. Just sign. I sat down and started reading. She wanted the apartment, the furniture, and basically everything we owned. Then she crossed her arms and said something I'll never forget.
"You were useful while I needed you. Now I don't." For a moment, the room was completely silent. Most people would have argued. Most people would have begged. But I didn't do either. Instead, I signed the papers. Then I smiled and said, "Enjoy your luck." She looked confused, because what she didn't know was that the $15 million she thought she inherited came with a secret, and that secret was about to destroy everything she had just done.
Before leaving the apartment, I looked at the clock on the wall. 4 p.m. Exactly 24 hours. That's how long it would take. You see, Emily's aunt didn't just leave her money. She left her properties. And those properties came with massive unpaid debts, taxes, and legal claims. When Emily accepted the inheritance, she also accepted all of the financial liabilities attached to it. Something her lawyer clearly didn't explain to her properly. But I knew. Because 2 months earlier, her aunt's financial advisor had contacted me, not her. He told me the entire situation. The properties looked valuable on paper, but in reality, they were drowning in millions of dollars of debt. If someone accepted the inheritance, They would be responsible for everything. And Emily had just accepted it, without reading a single detail.
The next day at exactly 4 p.m., the calls started. Banks, lawyers, tax agencies, debt collectors, all contacting Emily about the millions owed on those properties. By the evening, she realized the truth. Her $15 million inheritance was actually a financial disaster. And since she had forced the divorce the same day, I was legally no longer responsible for any of it. She called me over and over again, dozens of times. I finally answered once. She sounded completely different. Panicked. Scared. She asked me what she should do. I simply told her the same thing she told me the day before. Pack your things. Then I hung up.
A week later, Emily had to sell the apartment to start paying off the debts. The same apartment she kicked me out of. As for me, I moved on. Sometimes the biggest revenge isn't anger. It's letting someone destroy themselves with their own decisions. And Emily? She learned a very expensive lesson. Not every $15 million inheritance is a blessing. Sometimes it's a trap.